On December 26, 2004, a terrible tsunami hit South and Southeast Asia. Over 250,000 people were affected in Indonesia, Thailand, India, and across a range of other countries. The terrible thing about this tsunami was that it was in areas that were not easily reached by international humanitarian organizations, nor by the international news media, and so there was a huge gap in information. One of the responses to this terrible international disaster was a blog and wiki put together by volunteers. The 3 volunteers that began it were literary bloggers in India, in Mumbai, and they reached out to other bloggers that they knew in their literary circles to put together a blog that enabled people to post information about what they knew about the tsunami victims. So there were messages from people in the affected areas detailing what they needed, what kinds of food they needed, whether they needed water, whether they needed clothes, whether they needed medical attention. There were also posts from people who had things to offer, who could offer medical assistance, who could offer donations, who could bring supplies to the affected area. And there was also information about people who were missing or people who had been found. Pretty soon, the blog was filled with hundreds of entries from people all over the world. There were people who were texting messages to people who had internet access who could then post entries online to the blog. And it became very unwieldy, and eventually the group of volunteers got together to transfer all this content to a wiki, where the wiki could be organized by topic, by country, by type of assistance or type of information that was relevant. This blog and wiki were so successful that within just a few days after the tsunami had hit, it had more traffic than many of the top international humanitarian sites in the world. Remember, this is 2004, before social media was very popular, and at this time, international humanitarian organizations had not adapted to using the internet to collect information, and they were simply disseminating what little information they had. So this is a very interesting example of how a bunch of bloggers who were not professional humanitarian institution supporters were able, with very little technology and just a little bit of time from a lot of people, able to put together a remarkable humanitarian effort.